Let us continue the second session of the effect of drug on the ear. So for the otitis media, as we discussed, the antibiotics which are used commonly antibiotics. You can see here in the medications the available options. Antimicrobial and otitis media needs the antimicrobial treatment, amoxicillin, and amoxicillin is a clavulanate, is a mainstay in the management of the otitis media. To see the full drug information, you can click here, view full drug information. So you will get all the pharmacology related to the specific drug. Let us see the adverse effect of this amoxicillin clavulanate. The more than 10% adverse effect is reported is diarrhea, and about 1 to 10% includes the diaper rash, mycosis, nausea, vomiting, loose stool, candidiasis, and vaginitis. And less than 1%, these are the available adverse effect. What is the warning? If the patient is allergic to penicillin, avoid it. If the patient has previous history of the cholestatic jaundice or hepatic dysfunction associated with the use of amoxicillin clavulanate, and extended release preparation should be avoided in the patient of hemodialysis and severe renal impairment, and if creatinine clearance is less than 30 ml per minute. In the mechanism of action, amoxicillin binds to the penicillin binding proteins, thus inhibiting the final transpeptidation steps of the peptidoglycan synthesis in the bacterial cell wall. And clavulanic acid is generally responsible for the inhibition of the beta-lactamase enzyme. So you can search out the available drugs, specific drug for the pharmacological studies. Otitis externa. Otitis externa is an inflammation or infection of external auditory canal, auricle, or both. Let us see the medications for the otitis externa. You can click on the medications here. In the medication summary, let us see the which are antibiotics are used here. The most cases of otitis externa are caused by superficial bacterial infections, and the most individual with this condition may be treated with topical antibiotic preparations. Some preparations are also contain corticosteroid ingredients. As we know that the corticosteroid is having anti-inflammatory and anti-allergic activity. To reduce the pain, we can use corticosteroid. The small amount of the steroid that is present in the solution can help to ease the pain and edema associated with otitis externa. So here some preparations are available: hydrocortisone, neomycin, polymyxin. The combination of the three medications in one formulation. So hydrocortisone, neomycin, and polymyxin is an antibacterial and anti-inflammatory agents. Neomycin from the streptomycin category. aminoglycoside antibiotic category, and polymyxin is also having the antibacterial activity. For otic use means it is available as solutions to use topical in the ear. It is available as a solution or suspension. Then another antibiotic available is ofloxacin otic and ciprofloxacin otic. Otic, it is available as topical solution. Otic ofloxacin is a pyridine carboxylic acid derivative with a broad spectrum effect that inhibits the bacterial growth by inhibiting DNA gyrase. Ofloxacin and the ciprofloxacins, these are from the category of fluoroquinolones. Fluoroquinolones, and these fluoroquinolones act by inhibiting the enzyme DNA gyrase. Ofloxacin otic and ciprofloxacin otic. Dexamethasone, tobramycin, another options. Gentamicin, ophthalmics are available, and ciprofloxacin plus dexamethasone otic solutions are also available. Plus ciprofloxacin and hydrocortisone otic suspensions are available. So here, the mainstay for the otitis externa is the fluoroquinolones. You can use the FQs, fluoroquinolones, maybe ciprofloxacin or ofloxacin for the otitis externa. You can use the here given link for the full pharmacological study of the ciprofloxacin or ofloxacin. To relieve the pain, analgesics are also available. Acetaminophen to relieve the pain. That is same as paracetamol. Combination of acetaminophen and codeine for the severe pain. Codeine, we can say it is from the morphine derivatives. And antifungals are also available if there is a fungal infections. For fungal infection, clotrimazole 1% otic solution is generally widely used. Cotrimazole, please remember the difference between cotrimazole and there is a two combination. It is a clotrimazole. Clotrimazole is totally antifungal drug, but cotrimoxazole is an antibacterial drug. So this is the main difference between the clotrimazole and cotrimoxazole. Nystatin powder is also available for the external use of the ear. So these are the antifungal formulations available for the otitis externa. Otitis externa, for antibacterial, use fluoroquinolones, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin with the steroid to ease the inflammation and the edema. For analgesic, use the acetaminophen or paracetamol, or with if there is a severe pain with the codeine. And for the to suppress the fungal infection, use the clotrimazole 1% otic solution or nystatin powder. So this is about the otitis media. So what is the difference between otitis media and externa in the medication? For media, otitis media, the mainstay of antibiotic is amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid. And if the patient is allergic to the amoxicillin, you can use cephalosporin derivatives. And for the otitis externa. You can use fluoroquinolones with the combination of the steroid, analgesic paracetamol, and antifungal clotrimazole or nystatin powder. Drug used to treat vestibular disorder, that is vertigo and nystagmus. We can say vestibular suppressant. These are the suppressants of the glutamate pathway. Cinnarizine, which is a calcium channel blocker, and decrease the release of the glutamate. That's why it is called suppressants of the glutamate pathway. As the glutamate release is suppressed, the vertigo will be controlled. So to control the vertigo, we need decrease the release of the glutamate, and cinnarizine suppress the glutamate pathway via calcium channel blocker effect. Histamine receptor antagonist, beta histine, which is H3 receptor antagonist and partial agonist at H1 and H2, but the antagonist effect is more predominant. Dimenhydramine, H1 antagonist plus muscarinic antagonist effect. Phenothiazines includes the promethazine, H1, muscarinic, and D2, dopamine 2. Meclizine and cyclizine, histamine 1 and muscarinic effect. GABA A agonist, benzodiazepines, diazepam potentiate the effect of GABA at GABA A receptor, and baclofen, which is selective GABA B agonist. And the last one is anticholinergic effect, scopolamine and atropine. These all drugs are the vestibular suppressants and used in the management of vertigo and nystagmus. Nystagmus is an vestibular disorder. It is an nystagmus, it is an uncontrolled movement of the eye. Uncontrolled movement of the eye due to vestibular disorder. And if the vertigo is uncontrolled. Let us see glutamate pathway inhibitors, which is cinnarizine. H1 receptor antagonist inhibits the release of glutamate from glutaminergic neuron through its calcium channel blocking effects. And adverse effects are sedation, GI disturbances, and long-term use leads to depression. Histamine receptor antagonist, beta histine, which is generally the H3 receptor antagonist and partial agonist at H1 and H2, but the H3 receptor antagonist may leads to the vestibular suppressant, adverse effect is sedation. Dimenhydramine, promethazine, meclizine, and cyclizine, these are the H1 receptor antagonist, but in addition to the H1 receptor antagonist, these also having anticholinergic effect as they inhibits the muscarinic receptor. And due to inhibition of the muscarinic receptor anticholinergic effect, these are the adverse effect: sedation, dry mouth, blood vision, tachycardia, constipation, retention of urine. These are all anticholinergic adverse effect. So it should be contraindicated in the patient of the glaucoma, in which there is increase in the intraocular pressure, and the old age person with enlarged prostate. Benzodiazepines, drug that act at GABA receptor, gamma amino benzoic acid, diazepam and chlordiazepoxide, they binds to the GABA A receptor potentiate the effect of GABA, leads to hyperpolarization of the neuronal membrane, adverse effect sedation, as we discussed these benzodiazepines and the baclofen in the sedative and hypnotics. Baclofen is agonist at GABA B receptor, and adverse effect is sedation. We already discussed these benzodiazepines, baclofen in the sedative hypnotics and the anticonvulsants. And anticholinergic effects, the scopolamine, competitive antagonist to the muscarinic receptor in the vestibular pathway, and these all adverse effect related to the due to blockage of the muscarinic receptor. This includes dry mouth, blood vision, constipation, tachycardia, retention of the urine, and should be contraindicated, same glaucoma and the old age. It is available as oral plus transdermal patch. An advantage of the transdermal patch compared to the oral administration is that long duration of action of this transdermal patch and less adverse effect. Meniere's disease, which is also called as idiopathic endolymphatic hydrops, in which there is increased hydraulic pressure within the inner ear endolymphatic system, and pathogenesis includes increased pressure within the inner ear endolymphatic systems. Manifestations include hearing loss, tinnitus or ringing in the ears, vertigo, sense of pressure in the ear. Treatment include vestibular suppressants, as we discussed before. All vestibular suppressants can be used in the management of Meniere's disease, plus diuretics accompanied by salt restriction in the patient. What is the role of diuretics? Diuretics will decrease fluid pressure in the inner ear. They will prevent the attack, but not effective for treatment of acute attacks. And the most commonly used diuretics are hydrochlorothiazide from the category of thiazide, and they act at distal convoluted tubule, and acetazolamide. And adverse effects encountered includes metabolic acidosis and renal calculi. Steroids are also used in the Meniere's disease, orally, intramuscular, or transtympanically, includes prednisone, as they decrease the endolymphatic pressure because of their anti-inflammatory properties. And the last option is, if the Meniere's disease is not managed by the drugs, the last option is surgery. How can we prevent the drug-induced ototoxicity? Avoid the use of ototoxic drugs in elderly people and in patients with hearing loss. Use the lowest effective doses of ototoxic drugs, and their level should be closely monitored. Hearing should be measured before and during the treatment with an ototoxic drug. Ototoxic drug should not be used topically, as eardrops or topical eardrops when the tympanic membrane is perforated. And antioxidant should be given with the ototoxic drugs that produce oxygen free radical, leading to ototoxicity. So this antioxidant drug will inhibit the formation of oxygen free radical and will prevent from the ototoxic effects of the drug. Thank you very much.